Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac.
This is Megan.
And today's episode
is pretty cool because it's local to us.
Oh, it hits home.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about
haunted Camp Lejeune. If you guys haven't seen that chart that's been like surfacing around, a lot of people don't agree with it. At least what I found from posting it and stuff like that. Some people don't agree, but it is a paranormal chart by Treetopia is the website that it came from, and they basically did a survey from people sending in their paranormal experiences, and they went ahead and went through each state and picked like the most haunted city. So I guess it was the most experiences sent in. And funny enough, North Carolina got Camp Lejeune, which I was actually very surprised with. Well, I was surprised, but not surprised. Surprised in the aspect of, because Camp Lejeune, even though it's the largest military base on the East Coast, Jacksonville itself is a smaller city. So I would think like Asheville or Raleigh, Charlotte, place like that would have gotten it. But there's some creepy stuff going on there. And that's actually how I even started wanting to talk about the paranormal, was because of all the experiences that people had in this area.
And I guess we'll also talk about all the haunted locations around here. Particularly our home, essentially. Yeah,
because Camp Lejeune is like the military base, but the Camp Lejeune is in the city of Jacksonville. If that makes any sense?
Yeah.
We haven't actually gone on Camp Lejeune because obviously you have to be Marine or affiliated.
Because my job requires me to go on base every now and then.
Yeah, I've only gone once, and that was twice, and that was with a friend. I went to like the movie theater, the dollar movie theater that they have on base, and then, which is kind of creepy. And then I also went to like a haunted thing that they had going on there, which was pretty good. Like, one of those fake haunted houses kind of things. But yeah, so I've never actually been on base, been to any of the housing or anything like that. So
the housing is just like kind of like how it is in any kind of like cul-de-sac neighborhoods. You get your typical like townhouses kind of built up, and you got your actual neighborhood houses and stuff like that I've been to. Majority of what I've been to have been mostly like townhouses.
Yeah.
And if you're a higher ranker, like colonel or general or whatever, right, you get like a beach property and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, because there's a beach on base, and I don't know if that all connects. Like, there's a way to connect. Like, they have their own roads that connect, but because we're right here on the water, we have a lot of like Navy and stuff like that. That is also, there's a lot of bases in between the cities, I should say. So I don't know if it all like connects where they could go from point A to point B on base and not have to go in the city.
I actually got lost one time.
Really?
We're trying to find this place, and I drove all like almost 10-15 minutes in another direction. I was still on base, and I went to the part where like, oh crap, this is where the like your high ranked guy, because they had their
nice beach houses.
Yeah, right? They had their title on a little fence, we call it little. I don't know, a sign outside their door with or out on their lawn with their rank and their name.
Dang.
So I was like, oh shit. And they're all like colonel, general, blah, blah, this. I was like, oh shit, this is where the big guys live.
Because when you go over the bridge, like in town, you see like waterfront property, and you're like, well, what the heck? I've never seen like waterfront property in the city, but it's actually on base. And I take that back. I've been to the beach also, but it was like through a friend.
So we're basically explaining what we're going to talk about here and there, and then places around here that we've investigated and some that we've heard stories from as well, like from Wilmington, which is about an hour away from us.
Yeah.
And then you got Swansboro, you got Hubert, you got New Bern, Moore's Head. That's a
Moore's Head. That's you're combining
Maysville.
Yeah, you're combining two different.
Yeah.
There's Moore's Creek Battlefield, and then there's Moorhead City.
There you go.
So Moore's Head Battle. Anyways.
No, because I had said before we get on, I have a small haunted update. What we were doing yesterday or last night.
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
But interesting. We were using the
that we were testing out because I've been.
Was it the Vox?
It's basically GhostTube's version of Necrophonics. Almost.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like GhostTube Vox. And I don't know. I've been trying to use that because I want to see like when we do go back on investigations, like if it's gonna work. Because I'm curious because sometimes some of the things that comes through is very similar to some of the stuff that I get in my head and stuff. So I'm kind of curious how it would, work at these different locations.
Yeah. What was the interesting part about the whole thing is that the spirits, they kept repeating the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Over and over again.
Yeah.
It was like not just one voice. It was like 6 or 7, or I think maybe more voices all saying the same thing. And they were all saying, well, this is him.
Yeah, this is him.
Yeah.
And what freaked me out is I was like, okay, so let's put some pressure here. Like, and I was like, do you know my name? Can you say your name? That. And a woman in Spanish in the Spanish version of Isaac's name is Isaac, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a woman, I kid you not, I freaked out. I wish Isaac would have been recording because I had mine on and he had his. But a woman goes, Isaac. And I was like, the fuck?
I know. I was
like, what? That is as clear validation. Because they have like a recording option like on the actual GhostTube app when you use it. And a lot of the times when I get really good stuff, supposedly the file is corrupt. Mm. So, yeah. But I really want to take it out on certain investigations or even certain locations just to see what would happen.
Yeah.
See what they would bring up and if, you can get further evidence.
That was extremely strange, and that they were all saying the same thing, and they were all repeating it. It's like they didn't want to answer any questions or say. The kid just kept saying, oh, this is him.
Yeah, and it was like they were talking amongst each other. It wasn't that they were talking directly to you.
Yeah.
Still, that Isaac thing freaked me out.
Isaac. Which, I want to know who it was, because like there's not a lot of spirits that say my name in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
Anyways, on to the episode. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background around the area because I feel like somebody that is not around this area wouldn't really know. So, and since it's a smaller city, it's not like a place like, I don't know, like a bigger place that is normally talked about with haunted locations. It's kind of one of those things where you have to be living here to kind of talk about it and know what we're talking about.
Well, anyone like from North Carolina area.
Yeah, North Carolina. Okay, let me go through this. So we have on base, apparently at one point, so most of this land that's now developed, was at one point like farmland, like different families owned the farm. And you'll see when you start tracking back, like what the land used to be, you'll find that it eventually at one point was tied to families. But the base wasn't actually there. I think it was like between 1941 to the early 50s that it actually became a base, a full-fledged base. But apparently, I don't know how true it is. I haven't actually looked at the archives or anything like that in the library, but that route that is now the base was used to come out west, like when you got here to settle. For settlements. And a lot of the stuff in this area, even going to like towards Moorhead, towards Hubert, Swansboro, Atlantic Beach, all of that area, it goes back really, really far back. Like the one cemetery that we looked at not too long ago.
Oh, in Maysville?
Mm-hmm. That was established in 1780. So you have a lot of history, and the history around this area is very, very, very diverse too. You have history with like Blackbeard and pirates and stuff like that, and Beaufort and Bath and stuff like that. In fact, there's legends like Blackbeard actually like lived in that area. You have like
Where's his houses over there?
Yeah, yeah. You have colonial colonial like history, like from like the 1700s and the 1800s. Then you have like the settlement. Then unfortunately you have the darker history, which is, you know, unfortunately slavery and stuff like that. You
Native Americans.
Native Americans, pushing them out west.
Croatoans were the ones around this area, which everyone associated the Croatoan tribe with that legendary story with Oak Island.
Mm-hmm.
Oak Island?
Roanoke. Yeah.
I don't know why Oak Island.
You always with Oak Island. We should do that one day. Like,
it's just a big
do an
mystery
episode.
thing. No, Roanoke Island. Yeah, with the whole entire village disappearing when they came back, and everything was just like still there and just
and that's not even that far away from us. It's probably a couple hours. Like, you have to take a ferry to it.
Yeah.
So, if anybody watch it, which we're not like that close to it, but the best description of kind of where we're at is, I hate saying it because I don't like the TV show, but Outer Banks. Yeah, there's
for one area. I wouldn't say where we live.
Yeah, but
there's more forest where we are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. And this area used to be swamp too. So, apparently, giant sloths used to live here back when it was a swamp. Found that out. I was like, what? Giant sloths. Anyways, but so you have all of that history. In fact, one place aside, we'll get to Camp Lejeune in 1 second, but there's one place here that they don't allow investigators, and I feel like I had always been pulled to this area. It's going towards New Bern, so I would say it's about like 40 minutes away from us, maybe 30, but it's a Foscue plantation. And they open it up to tours for you to like, I don't know, like go look at it, right? And they do like field trips and stuff like that. Unfortunately, my school never went there, but apparently it was one of the worst plantation houses like you could have went to as a slave. And it's like, it comes in second to the one in Louisiana, which is known as the worst. I forgot what it was called, but and apparently during the Civil War, a lot of places got burned down and animals got slaughtered and stuff when the North started coming into the South. And that place was used as a medical hospital during that time for the North, I believe. Yes. So apparently they don't like the attention on the paranormal. I've reached out to them a couple times, and then the paranormal teams I've dealt with have also reached out, but they're like, no, we don't want to do that. We just want to focus on the history kind of thing. I'm guessing because I never got a response back, and neither do the paranormal teams. So yeah. They don't.
A lot of places that have supposed hauntings, stuff like that, especially when they have a different image in mind of what they want their location, they try to not allow investigators to keep telling people that the place is haunted.
Yeah.
Which then, over time, kind of creates bad juju with the place, and then they call investigators.
Well, yeah, because they said like you can like a lot of people when you go by it, like it's one of those places when you go by it, you know something is going down, like something is bad. So, like I said, a lot of this area, a lot of Camp Lejeune, has that, and of course, there's a lot of water around this area, so a huge high like conduit for paranormal activity, a lot of death, a lot of murders, a lot of brutality with the history.
Fun thing, I guess we can talk about the locations briefly that we've investigated so far around the area. The Octagon House in Swansboro, the Maysville Cemetery in Maysville, what's the name of the library? I always forget the name. The Webb Library.
But I don't think it's... If you guys are into Paranormal Quest, that YouTube channel, they actually went there with two members that we were formerly on a team with. So
that's right.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, the Webb Library and Moorhead. Croatoan Forest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, So
and there's other places we've been to as well. I can't remember. What was it? Civil War place?
Oh yeah, it was right by that cemetery that we went to that was established in 1780.
Yeah.
Also another thing that you got to keep in mind in this area is we get hurricanes, like pretty bad ones every now and then. It's not like a every year thing, but a lot of the cemeteries experience flooding, and also this area has a lot of random cemeteries, like family plots, family cemeteries. Like you'll find random cemeteries on the side of the road, especially in the country areas. So yeah, and we have like a lot of wooded areas, a lot of that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind as we're going over locations and stuff like that. Yeah, so Camp Lejeune has like a mix of all of that because of their history over there, and then well,
if anyone's ever listened to our previous episodes, they've heard our haunted updates on about every single one of those locations and what's happening.
Yeah. Also, we have a lot of battlefields everywhere, like Fort Macon and Moores Creek Battlefield going towards Wilmington, that kind of thing. And funny enough, there's a lot of weird like desecration of graves in this area. Like the Maysville Cemetery that literally has a ship plant on top of their graves, and the graves are just kicked, but the bodies aren't moved. So
that is the dirty rumor, or not to say we found that as a truth behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, there's a ship plant, and then you see tombstones by the ship plant. I mean, I'd be
calling it that. It's not
where they pump the sewage.
Yeah, it's not actually called.
Well, that's what they do. They pump the.
I know. Mike always uses that term. That's why we keep saying it.
Everyone, get your signs and picket.
Yeah.
Move the shit plant.
Oh.
Move it. But yeah, it's literally, I kid you not, on top of graves. It's really sad.
Oh.
Like, could you imagine? I'd be pissed and come back down and be there too. Like, I deal with shit afterwards too. Anyways.
Talking about poop. My stomach's already messed up.
Okay, so on to Camp Lejeune. So there's been some crazy stuff from alien encounters to
I mean, alien encounters kind of go hand in hand with any kind of military base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alien encounters to weird creatures, to seeing apparitions, to seeing demonic stuff, to there's a bunch of lores and legends, and we're gonna kind of get into that, and I will let you know kind of like if we're going into Jacksonville or Camp Lejeune, because like I said, it's literally the base is inside of Jacksonville, pretty much like in Jacksonville. So some of these stories leak out into Jacksonville, if that makes sense. Okay, so and a lot of these are found on forums, Reddit. There's actually a Facebook page that is just straight up encounters on Camp Lejeune. So I kind of got these from different spots. Okay, so this is the one thing I wanted to talk about. Apparently, I don't know. It's weird because I've heard two things. Like it's on base, but then it's not on base. The local news channel, or not news channel, local newspaper in this area did a thing in October about the most haunted locations and all of that in Onslow County. And one of the places that they talked about is Old Town Point. In September 1752, Onslow was struck by a hurricane that was strong enough to wipe out the little village at Town Point on the New River Inlet. The storm destroyed the courthouse and records from that period. Foundations from where the houses once stood are still there today. When the military purchased the land, local rumor has it that its burials were relocated. Some claim they experienced paranormal activity at the site. So I guess it is on base because they purchased that area. So
I think I know what you're talking about, that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a story. I'm going to kind of paraphrase it because it was a long, detailed story. But a Marine basically was on base around that area. And he normally would stay in this one spot to fish. But then he was like, you know what? I'm going to go over here. And he didn't know kind of like the history about it. He just knew like the lores of it. But he didn't know it was that actual spot. But he said he was by himself. You know, he just did it to relax, just to chill out. And he said he was fishing and could hear like what he guessed of as like settlement noises, like wood being chopped and a fire burning and like iron being pushed, like I don't know, like that kind of stuff.
Like a village,
like a
bustling,
village.
busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I thought that was kind of I didn't know how to explain it. I thought that was kind of creepy. There is... Okay, so apparently this was a repeated building that I saw being talked about on Reddit and forums, and it's called the H1 building on base. This one guy said he used to work there at night, and he would see stuff on the cameras all the time. Normally that building was only manned by like at the time him. And it's locked. You need a badge and code to get in. He's not a big believer on ghost. But he said that one time he was, like talking around with his buddies, like, hey, this building is freaky. I don't like it. And his friend was like, yeah, one time I was, sleeping on the couch and I felt like someone was holding me down and I couldn't get up. But the crazy thing is their map room was where the old morgue was, complete with giant freezers where they stored computer parts in.
Computer parts?
No, where they now put computer parts in.
Oh, I was like, computers then.
Yeah, no. Like, it used to be an old morgue.
You confused me. I was like, wait.
The giant freezers where they would keep the bodies.
Like
but now...
The spirits of the computers are coming back. Or something.
Oh, no. No. So that's what he said. And a lot of other people, like, confirmed it. Things like, the building gives me the freaking creeps. They don't know how some of these people stay alone in that building at night. So, but... Okay, so moving on. So the H1 building, they've seen everything from apparitions, doors shutting in front of them, just creepy freaking vibes. And I also saw, like, when I was looking through all the forums and stuff like that, this one guy goes, I know a lot of people don't want to come to Jacksonville and, like, Camp Lejeune because it's such a small like city, and if you're coming from a place like New York and you go to here, it's small. There's not that much to do. I mean, it's growing, but it's still small. And he was saying, sometimes I feel like it's not that. It's like a dark omen that's over the base for whatever reason. And so this one guy also said that he's seen a lot of stuff in the woods around Lejeune that freak. So I'm noticing the problem with, like, the people that are telling the stories is they don't want to believe in the paranormal. They are trying to rationalize, like, what they're seeing, and that's only normal, especially if you're a Marine and you're, they blame it on sleep deprived or whatever. But these people are saying that deep down in their guts and stuff, it's not, something's off. But apparently, okay, so this guy said, almost all of the stories have the same thing in common. A Marine on watch alone at night, groups of students who probably aren't well rested, or kids who see animals they've never seen in the wild because they come from suburbs or the city. So that guy is kind of like saying, like, that they're just making it up and it's sleep deprived or whatever. But apparently there's also some kind of creature that was talked about in the woods at Camp Lejeune that was like a man-bear thing.
Man-bear pig?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like a man-bear thing.
Half man, half bear.
And
half
see,
pig.
a lot of them are saying, like, because they do like the simulations at night and stuff like that, oh, we're just tired. It's our imagination.
Could be a government experiment got loose.
Yeah. Who the heck knows? So I wasn't able, because, like, all of the things about Camp Lejeune is all on forums and Facebook pages and stuff like that. It's not, like, nobody has concrete, I guess because it is a military base and they may not want that out, but there's no, like, concrete, I don't think I've never seen any paranormal investigators, like, YouTubers, go on base and, like, investigate full force. But apparently they don't allow Ouija boards on base, which I thought was interesting. Apparently there's also a apparition called the Lady in White, and she basically...
Wait, she's like the 18th one?
I know, there's a lot of Lady in Whites. Apparently, there's a legend that she was brutally attacked by a group of Marines, and she died from that attack. And she basically lures them into the woods, never to be seen again. And there's a legend about a boy with a balloon. Which, this is also the location that had the black-eyed kids encounter. So if you guys don't remember, on our Black Eyed Kids episode, I recalled this Marine who posted his story on Reddit, and then it got shared on different like articles and stuff like that. But make a long story short, he basically was home at the barracks. His roommates and stuff had gone out drinking and like hanging out and stuff like that. So he was there by himself. He answered the door. He heard the knocks. He answered the door. It was two kids saying that like their parents were somewhere or something like that, and to come in and use the phone, that they were cold and all that. And he was thinking in his head, like, why are you in the barracks? You know? And he said his fight or flight kicked in and he shut the door, and he said they were banging on the door. And, he asked like the security footage camera guy that like, I guess looks over all the barracks and stuff like that, if he's seen anything or anything, and there was nothing there. So. Yeah. And that's literally that, you know, we could see the barracks when you go on certain streets on our house. So
just a grasp of how close we live to base, how close we live to base is our house is on a street. You go to the end of the street, you're on the main street, technically, which is, I think it's called Western. And you drive straight. If we take we're left, we're right next to the base. Like the main gate is right over there. So, yeah, we're very close to it. So when we hear stuff like that, like, crap, they can just walk over here to us.
Yeah.
We put them on blast with the episode anyway.
Okay, so here's the story. This was found, you guys probably have heard me talk about it quite a few times, but there's a website called Ghost Sightings of America, and it's basically, you can type in a city and they give you people that have shared their stories. It's really cool, like, to see, especially if you're a smaller city, like, people's experiences. So Camp Lejeune has their own. Like I said, Camp Lejeune kind of functions as their own little city within a city. This was Courthouse Bay, December 89 to April 90. Took a taxi from Jacksonville to CHB late one night, and when the driver and I were out in the sticks, we saw ghosts of what appeared to be slaves walking on the side of the road. Demo Range Road was said to be haunted, according to some engineer students who would run it for PT after work hours. The guard tower out by the Demo Range would call at least twice a night, claiming there was a man-bear type creature prowling around.
Man-bear pig.
Oh my gosh. But then again, when we started guard mount, our class advisor told us to watch out for bears in that area. So again, a lot of rationalizing, which is fine. It's just, they tell their stories and then they retract a little bit. He said the boat ramp had numerous ghost sightings. When we did the assault course at night training, it was ceased in the middle of the assault because numerous students claimed to see a headless body fly out of one of the holes. The instructor dropped explosives in to simulate mortar and cannon fire.
Mortar.
Yeah, mortar. What did I say?
Motor.
Oh, whoops.
Motor fire. Pow, pow.
This is another one. Me and my family were coming back from Domino's one night in October 2013. When we crossed over the bridge at Marston Pavilion, we made a right-hand turn into the officer housing area, which heads towards the school. We stopped at the curb by the woods to look at some deer when all of a sudden my wife slammed on the brakes and screamed. She said she saw the corner of her eye, a white light at her driver's side window, and it freaked her out. There was no one outside shining lights, and the street was not very lit up out there. I told her she was crazy, but that's just another story to add to the list of the stories on base. Apparently someone commented on that, because you can comment, said that back in 1987, there was a Marine officer and his wife that were killed in their base house.
Shit. You know what's funny? Since I've had my abilities, I've been on base 3 times. I haven't really felt anything. Well, maybe I'm not going in the right areas, because I went to the housing area, nothing. I went to another housing area that was roughly in the same area on a different side of base, because the base has it's one big, small city, but the same size as Jacksonville. Yeah, and it's got its own little sections where housing areas and neighborhoods and stuff like that. But yeah, I haven't felt anything much, but I think I'm probably not going to the older sections. Because the sections at least you go to are relatively new housing.
Yeah. There was a couple of other things I found.
But I would like to go to these sections.
Yeah. There is apparently some people that I guess like that are in the military that like to paranormal investigate.
You know what?
That have kind of...
I hope a Marine that listens to this, or is listening to this, is actually a fan, can invite us to go on base.
Oh, yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
So another like short little thing that somebody posted was a newly constructed housing units at Courthouse Bay in Camp Lejeune. Workers have described doors slamming and shadow images wandering the hallways. When we discussed the subject at lunch, two of the tile setters described 2 separate events. The first event was the hand of a 20-year-old was slapped as he dialed on his cell phone. I guess they were workers that were working on the new housing. And second, his father had noticed shadows earlier on the job when there was no lights in the buildings. He explained that from the corner of his eye, he saw a figure walk past his doorway. When he went to look there was no one there. He felt that someone was watching him work. And then also a plumber also specified that doors were closing on their own. So yeah, there was apparently 2, there was a helicopter or something, that collided on base during training that made some of the Marines die that were involved in the training. So you have that on top of everything else. There was one person that also talked about a possessed girl on base. And I can't find the story after I read it. Like I said, oh crap, I'm going to come back to it. But I didn't screenshot it. I didn't save it. And now I can't find it. But they were saying that there was a girl that died of possession on base.
Yes, because the word on the Catholic street is, from the priest anyway, that they kind of gave up on this area, the Catholic Church essentially, when it comes to possessions, because there's so many.
Okay, so it's crazy because when you talk to demonologists, right, and you talk to them, like we've talked to Carl Johnson, and like he said, like, yeah, you know, I've had my dealings with demonic cases, but there hasn't been that many. But if you talk to local paranormal teams and stuff, there's a lot. And I specifically remember my grandmother because she's been going to the same church since the 1970s. And this is pretty much the only Catholic church in this like area. I don't know if Base has one, but the closest one is about like 30 minutes away. And then there's another one the opposite direction, an hour away. So it's pretty much, if you're in Jacksonville and you're in the surrounding areas, you go to this Catholic church if you're Catholic. And I didn't really know. My grandma was saying, yeah, apparently, you know, like they do exorcisms. Like one of the priests was talking about that. And no. Okay, I got the stories mixed up. Okay, so I was in faith formation classes when I was younger, which is basically, you know, like the classes you take before you go through the sacraments, like communion and stuff like that. And my teacher had said to me that a long time ago, the Catholic Church actually turned their back on Jacksonville because of the sin and how much like dark shit was happening. And the priest I don't know if he's still there, but the priest had mentioned in one of his like sermons or whatever about the amount of possession cases that happen in Jacksonville. It's extensive.
Makes it prime for hunting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
for me anyway.
Yeah. But, so yeah, so this is, and then I've talked to other paranormal investigators in this area, new and old teams and teams we've been a part of and stuff like that. And, but
nothing.
And, they've even confirmed that like there's a lot of like craziness going on. Even haunted objects is apparently a thing. I think one of the teams had told us that the apartments that are near us, like literally a hop, skip, and a jump from us, had multiple haunted objects being taken out of there because it was so bad.
I'll say, what was it? The Lauderdale?
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 Yeah.
Lauderdale? whatever apartments here in Jacksonville, on the south side of town, southwest side.
Yeah. Which is funny. I think it's on Aragona Boulevard, which is my maiden name in my family. Long down the road, like not along down the road, but they're like distant relatives actually build that area. So that's kind of funny.
But that housing area, the apartments, apparently has had paranormal activity happen before, including some demonic cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is funny is every time I go there, right, and I talk to somebody, like I'm going there, say, hey, where's the money? Or I'm delivering something to them, I usually ask them, say, hey, have you experienced anything paranormal around here? And most of the time, they go, oh no, I didn't know there was anything going around here. I was like, oh, okay, I was just making sure. And they give me that look like, what? Is there something going on?
No.
And I'm like, seriously. I just heard stories and stuff, and I'm a paranormal investigator on the side. And,
well, put it to you this way. Because me and Isaac are in the market to buying a house, and I strictly, from just like things that I've asked people, things I've found out, because for whatever reason, even though there's a lot of paranormal stuff going on here, it's very hush-hush unless you are in the paranormal.
Yeah, that's why I think one of the questions we need to ask when we buy a place is this place haunted?
Yeah.
It's not going to bother us. I just want to know. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's certain places like where I get like very like, like very revered back. I do when they talk about Camp Lejeune, I feel like there's shit going on there, and yeah, I don't know. I feel I haven't gone on to Camp Lejeune, but I just feel like there's stuff. And like I said, that whole part of Camp Lejeune, it was a farm at first, so the fact that this area had a lot of slave owners in the country area, that doesn't surprise me that, like you see stuff like that, like apparitions of that time. Plus native stuff is all around. Like a couple of houses that I lived in, I remember specifically seeing like native spirits. And I've lived kind of around Onslow County at different places. However, the one place that I think is the most haunted, and I don't know, I don't know if I would have put it over Camp Lejeune because I've never been on Camp Lejeune, but one of the places I get the absolute darkest feelings is Hubert. That is in between. We have to go to it to basically, like where we go investigate, we have to go through Hubert to get to Swansboro. And we don't live too far from, it's like the Piney Green Hubert area, which is like literally, again, a hop, skip, and a jump from us. Like that area starts pretty close to us. And Camp Lejeune like borders that area too. But Hubert, man, I literally get fight or flight when I go in that area.
Funny, a question I think I've asked before, and when I go out, it's called field visiting is the terminology we use at errands. Is when you're behind your bill and they send me out to go knock on your door. When I'm out there doing that, because you usually do it all day, like someone asks, do you ever feel things at people's houses? Yeah. I'll come across something while I'm at someone's house, knocking on the door, waiting for them to answer, and I feel my right hand charge. I'm like, who's this? Right? And sometimes it comes from the home. Sometimes it comes from outside, like it's coming from the woods or somewhere else.
Yeah.
Twice, actually, I went to someone's house in this neighborhood in Hubert, funny enough.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Some of the most scariest things, other than the Spring Branch house in Texas that I've experienced, has been in Hubert when we lived there.
Yeah. And granted, it was nothing strong or anything, but it just like twice in the same location. And granted, it was about a week apart each time. So it's like not a lot of time for something to come back, essentially. But it was just strange, same spot. But after you said what you said about Hubert, I'm like, kind of makes sense now.
Yeah. I don't know. And that's the problem is this area. I don't know what the hell happened, but this area's land is like tainted. Like it's going to take like for people to, it's going to take a lot of like cleansing and clearing. Like I feel like there's a lot of dark stuff like tied to the land.
You don't think might have been cursed by Native Americans for taking
It's possible because you got to think this area, they were pushed out west. And I don't know exactly where the Trail of Tears started. I don't know if it was here or not, to be honest.
For some reason, I keep thinking Virginia.
I don't know. It's
or
like somewhere,
southern.
but basically, I mean, they took the natives and they forced them that way.
Yeah.
And because this area had a bunch of different tribes at one point, you know, like the Croatoans, the even Cherokee were really huge. And you have on the western part of North Carolina, the Eastern Band of Cherokees is what I think it's what they go by. And it's basically all of the natives that said, freak you, we're not going. And they stayed behind in the mountains. And
you're right.
Yeah, I was here.
No, I was looking up while you were talking. Where did the Trail of Tears start? The Appalachian Mountains.
Okay.
Which includes states of North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama.
So, I mean, it probably arrived here and started pushing them further and further and further and further. And so.
You know, I heard a theory once. I think it's related to that. It just reminded me of the Appalachian Mountains. That the creatures that we heard of in the Appalachian Mountains, stuff like that, all the stuff like that, were put at bay by the Native Americans. But since they were pushed out, they're free to roam. And the only people that know how to actually make sure they don't kill people en masse were the natives that live there. But since they're gone, they're free to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. Well, this area too, like, I mean, the woods just carry so much. They talk about too, like with the trees that can hold all that energy in, and certain locations. I mean, like, I mean, I don't know that. I'm trying to think if there's a specific part of Jacksonville that gives me the heebie-jeebies. There's an area.
Your mom's office?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to say the actual location, but there's a location my mom has an office in. Some crazy stuff happened there. So we were at the office wrapping Christmas presents. And beforehand, I kept getting like, just be on guard. There's like paranormal activity in this area. And it doesn't help that, like, I think it was like last year they found a body randomly at the end of the street. And I don't think they solved the case. So there's that. And we were in the office and I just kept feeling like I was getting watched. And whenever I feel like it's not like a spirit just trying to get through. It's like a spirit that's trying to, like, that's more malicious. It's almost like my root chakra starts hurting. Or if it's more of a parasitic type entity, my root chakra will start hurting, like in my back. And so I started getting that. I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's just the way I'm like sitting or something. I don't know. Because I do have like slight back problems. So I thought that was it. But no, I put on Ghost Tube, and then I was told, like, from my guides, turn off Ghost Tube, just don't worry about it. My dad had me go in the back part of the office, like, to help him with a Keurig or something like that. And I was like, Keurig, yeah. I was like, I don't feel right in this part of the office. Like, I just don't feel right. And so I went back up. We were loading the car with, like, the Christmas presents because we had just wrapped them. And, the whole time I felt like I was being watched. And I looked, because the next door used to be a Reiki person, but she's no longer there. Or he, I don't know, is no longer there. And it's just this office. And I was like, why do I feel like somebody's friggin' in there? Right? And I look, and the computer is going off by itself. Like, just going. Like, someone's sitting there typing, and I could feel, like, I could see it in my third eye, like somebody's sitting there, but I was like, okay, who the heck is this? So, my mom was telling me, like, when she went back in the office, like, the vibe is just off there. Like, it's worse than before. In that area, I don't know if there was ever any haunted objects possession case, but it is kind of like a little bit of the rougher side of town. So, there's like some bad stuff there. I don't know. It's just a darker side of town. The other side of town that I feel like is also pretty dark, and I used to work by it, is Georgetown Road. I remember it's right by the water company, and when I went there to renew, like, because they have, like, the DMV there in its drive-through.
Oh, what are you talking about?
And I was stuck there in that line for, like, hours. I I remember turning on GhostTube and stuff like that, and there was a lot of answers. And I remember when I was younger, when you used to have to go and pay the water bill in person, my parents would go pay, and there was these little trails, and we would go on these trails, and it was right next to like the animal shelter or whatever. And we'd walk, and there was like graves from like the 1700s and 1800s, and they were just like dilapidated. You know, there was like trash and graffiti and all of that stuff. So yeah,
we need to start investigating around here.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like there's a lot of untapped places here.
Well, because most of our focus has been Swansboro or that area.
Yeah. So hopefully, you know, we can start. I really want to start branching out to other locations, because I feel like there's a lot of places around here that are smaller that don't get looked at, because, you know, obviously when people go to North Carolina, they think of like the Devil's Tramping Ground, and which I still want to go to and all that.
Yeah.
But the places on like Camp Lejeune, apparently the USO over here, it's no longer operational. They stopped like.
And then the battleship.
Yeah, the battleship. The battleship would be the one in Wilmington would be.
You can investigate it, but you have to pay what, $1,500 to do it.
I think it's a lot of money. It's a lot of those places in Wilmington to investigate. You have to pay a lot of money, which I don't know.
It's funny enough. Excuse me. No, sorry. Well, I guess one of the last things I guess we'll talk about is actually our first paranormal experience that we went through when we came here on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
We went to Wilmington and we did their ghost tour walk there.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to know, Wilmington is about an hour away, like to the south of us.
Yes. It's an older city. It has its own history and stuff like that. Yeah. So it dealt with a lot of stuff during the Civil War, during the Revolutionary War. It's pretty old and has a lot of history behind it. Mm-hmm. But we went there because it was the biggest city close to where we are, and we just wanted to go visit and to look around and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We did. It was pretty cool. And it had like called the shopping thing we called the Cotton Exchange. It was pretty cool to go into. It's pretty old. Yeah. But we did the haunted tour when we saw a sign for it. Mm-hmm. And we were like, ooh, let's do that.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is, mind you, so this was before I even started tapping into my abilities. I would just experience stuff. I wasn't like out searching for stuff.
7 years ago now?
Yeah. It was quite a bit ago. It was before. I mean, I still experienced stuff. I still like knew that there's like I knew about the paranormal and stuff, but I wasn't like actively searching.
Yeah. And the guy leading the tour, I mean, he claimed to be psychic.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say either yay or nay on that. Mm-hmm. But he
apparently that ghost tour is known. There's a TikToker called Rebecca the Ghost Guide that she started out, I think, on that tour.
Whenever we should go on there.
Person just to see it again. I don't know. But she started out and she found out she was a psychic medium, and she talks about all of the stuff downtown. She's even been to a couple places in New Bern. If you want to kind of see like this area, I recommend going and looking at her stuff because she gives a good viewpoint of this area. Yeah. So.
But amongst other places that he took us all around the Wilmington area, just walking basically, there was one in front of a graveyard of a guy who got buried alive.
Oh. This was an intense moment for me. This is when I knew, like, I need to either slowly start accepting or get rid of it all together.
I know, because from my perspective, I was listening to a guy talk, like, oh, that's a pretty interesting story. All right.
Yeah.
And I turned to look at you, like if you're enjoying it, and you get that look in your face, like you can't breathe.
I thought I was going to die. Like, yeah. I literally was like, Isaac, I can't breathe. We gotta go. We gotta go to the hospital. Like, I can't breathe. I cannot breathe, Isaac. Like, it was serious. Like, I was like I was about to start crying because I could not breathe. Like, it was very, very, very limited. And it was like, the more he was going on, the more I was getting like restricted. I was like, the hell is this?
Yeah.
And
you were feeling his death.
The guy was buried alive.
Yeah. And because I remember I looked at you like, what the hell's wrong? You like to shake your face like you didn't know what was going on. And we walked away and he said, I'm okay. It's like, or something like you couldn't breathe at the time. I'm like, what? And then you didn't want to, because people were listening. You don't want to go into explanation about it. Yeah. But I remember you told me later that night we were at the hotel and you were like, oh my God, I don't know what happened. I was like, I don't know. But I mean, when we were on that haunted tour, we didn't see anything. Granted, this is long before I had my abilities and long before Megan tapped into the activity of hers now. Yeah. So it's funny you said, I think about places like that and going back and doing that, but it's like, it's not like what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not saying we're experts, but we're seasoned in the field of paranormal, and doing something like that is almost for people who just want to spectate.
Yeah. Well,
but it'd be fun for us in a sense to see if anything is haunted.
I haven't gone to downtown Wilmington probably since the pandemic happened. So I really want to go back down there because there's a lot of history, a lot of stuff just down there. And, oh, no. I take that back. I went with my mom. We did like a girls' day trip, and I went with my mom downtown to the same kind of like, it's like a huge, made of cobblestone type of area. And it's downtown, and basically like I don't know if it's the same exact structure that was in like the 1800s and stuff like that, but, I was there, and, they have like different things, basically a lot of stores if you're kind of like a tourist type person, like, North Carolina stuff and beach stuff and all of that. But there was a crystal shop in there that I was like, ooh, interesting. So, I went in there. My mom connected really well with the lady that worked there. And so she was talking to her, and I was sitting on the bench outside. And I remember I was talking to, at that time, Brandon from No Quarter, and I was saying, yeah, I'm like downtown. And he was like, well, do you feel anything? Like, is there anything? I was like, I keep feeling like I'm being watched. Like, it really freaks me out. And so I was sitting, and, I literally felt someone, and it was like in an old timey, like 1800s dress. And like, it was verbatim what, like when you look up the 1800s, like style clothing, it was verbatim with that. And in my third eye, I was able to see kind of what she looked like. And, she walked right past me, and I could see the dress flowing and like flow around the corner as she walked. And then there was another time too where I stood up. It was in that same block of time. I stood up. I was like, okay, I want to go. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I just want to go. And I felt someone behind me grab on my back. And then two, we were eating at a restaurant down there, and it was like deeper into the Cotton Exchange. And we were eating, and it was like, this pub style place. We were the only one there. And we could, like, me and my mom both felt a really weird feeling. The food was fantastic. It was Patty's Hollow, I think, if anybody's in that area.
Patty's Hollow. Can I hear it?
Yeah, it was, I had the Guinness, corned beef sandwich.
Oh, the Guinness corned beef
sandwich. Or the Guinness Reuben or something like that. It was really good. And a crab cake. It was bomb. But yeah, like, I was in the bathrooms always feel odd to me. I don't know what it is about the dang on bathrooms at places. Even in the library, the web library, bathrooms always feel off to me. And I'm like, why?
Well, with the web bathrooms, the mirrors were haunted.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah. So, yeah. And even in the Cotton Exchange, bathrooms feel off. I've been in a bunch of bathrooms in the Cotton Exchange over the years of coming here and visiting and living and stuff like that.
Are you trying to tell people you poop a lot?
No, it's normally peeing. But yeah, so they're off. If you're in this area, I highly recommend checking out Wilmington. There's a lot of history, a lot of stuff downtown. And
a lot of hoity-toity, atsy-flatsy stuff.
The downtown houses look legit. And fun fact, that's not really paranormal. I think Scream and Halloween, the recent ones, were filmed down there. And they actually have like where you can tour studios like down there. Part of Iron Man 3 was filmed down there. There's stuff like that. So
this is an ad for tourism.
I know, but no. I like Wilmington. It's got a very like artsy fartsy feel to it, and it's college. They have a college there, university. So they have a lot of stuff happening there, and they have one of the best freaking bakeries. Freaking Apple Annie's. If you want like New York style pastries, check out Apple Annie's.
Get your cool go there, go your good
cannolis, you weirdo.
Cannolis, oh yeah.
Yeah, cannolis are like my favorite. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. Anyways, they're so good. Anyways, but yeah, so they have a lot of stuff, and then even like Sneed's Ferry, All the beaches around here have cool stuff.
Speaking of Sneeds Ferry, there was one time, I know we're going on now, we've said it enough, but
Sneeds Ferry is weird in general. I live there too, and it's
one apartment weird. I went to, field visiting wise, had something very, very strong that came at me when I was there one time.
I lived there.
Yeah, this had to be 5 or 6 months after my ability awoken. But I was just like, what the heck is that? I don't know, it's just something I never dealt with before.
Fun fact about Sneeds Ferry. So my mom had this, and I think it was part of her ignoring her abilities because she was about like my age now during these times. And she used to wake us up in the middle of the night and say somebody was breaking in, like consistently. Like I used to have to go down with her at like 3 a.m. and make eggs because she kept thinking someone was going to break in. And I remember there was this one time, this house that we lived in Sneeds Ferry was like a townhouse kind of situation, duplex situation. And I actually would see like native spirits around the outside of the house. Like I would just see them. And I remember one time, I guess she got so freaked out. She was like, we are just going to go to the beach. And it was like literally 5:00 in the morning, the butt crack of dawn. And we had to go to the beach because she was terrified to be in the house. It was that house that happened with. And then there was another house in Clinton, North Carolina, which is about, like an hour away from us?
A little more.
A little bit more than an hour. That house was kind of creepy, too. It was an old Victorian house that a Civil War soldier guy would appear to me a lot. Anyways. Yeah, there's a lot. If I could literally have an entire episode of all the houses.
It's funny enough. We have a whole podcast.
Yeah.
Talking about our haunted experiences. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I guess, this area is enough for us, for any paranormal investigator around this area to have enough places to go. So it's not short of hints. And while we're probably going to have more haunted updates.
Yeah.
At the time we live here and stuff like that.
Yeah. And 2, we're going to start, going out more and more. Hopefully soon. Definitely like late spring, early summer to more locations.
Yeah. Something funny, I didn't realize until after I re-listened to the episode back, and it would happen in California recently. Mm-hmm. Remember we said
that time traveler's prediction
about the tsunami. He got the date wrong, but he got the location right.
Yeah.
Thing is, nobody, and I mean, well, maybe some of
the astrologers and psychics keep going back to something's going to happen on the West Coast, something's going to happen on the East Coast, but they don't know what. And I'm wondering if the tsunami thing was like the West Coast and the East Coast is going to be this winter storm or some winter storm.
Geologists maybe could have predicted, but no one could have predicted a volcano randomly erupting and then causing granted, it wasn't a horrible tsunami. It didn't kill anybody or anything like that. At least I don't think so. I didn't hear any stories about people dying.
No,
but it did cause a lot of damage.
It wasn't an actual tsunami.
No, it was.
They had waves, like pretty big waves.
That went up to almost people's homes. Like they took over the entire beach.
I thought they were just under a warning, not an actual.
Well, yeah, it wasn't like oh, the houses are gone, but I mean like the whole beach was underwater.
Oh, really?
So anything that was on the beaches was swept away. So I mean, it wasn't like horrible, like oh my god, but it was still bad enough that like don't go to the beach.
Oh dang.
Yeah. But I thought it was weird that we talked about that and then like a couple days later it happened. Yeah, it did. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead
and wrap it up. Yeah.
There you go. As always, guys, you can check out our social media, Hidden the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, or Hidden the Shaw 6 on Twitter, or Hidden the Podcast 2 on TikTok.
Yes.
Or links to all our social media and all places where you can listen to us at hiddentheshadowspodcast.com. Also has links to our merch store where you can pick up some cool shirts and stuff.
Yes.
And I think we'll start having our bonus episodes.
Yeah, the first one is going to be the first week in February.
Yes.
And it's going to be with Corey from, I forgot his Instagram name. Crap. He was on the Paranormal Roundtable with us, because he swapped it up. His new name, he not Paranormal Investigates, he Urban Explorers. Mm. And, that week that he's on, we're going to also talk about, that episode is going to be about urban explorers that have also dealt with the paranormal, while they were urban exploring.
And what are we talking about next week?
Next week is prolific poltergeist cases.
That's right.
So we're going to talk about poltergeist cases.
Something we've been on hold for a while.
Yeah, and kind of like, well, because I know, like, for me, when I first started into the paranormal, I was like, okay, I know what residual haunts are, but what's a poltergeist? Like, I know the movie Poltergeist, but so we're going to go into detail with that and kind of like some cases that you can relate poltergeist cases from.
And if you listen on iTunes, give us a rating, give us some stars, whatever you feel like giving.
Yeah, Spotify does that now too.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
What the heck?
Oh, that's my pant thingy.
Oh, great.
Anyway.
I was like, the heck is that, please?
Oh, by the way, if you listened or not, last week's episode, there was an EVP.
Really?
You said there was.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear it?
Yeah. It wasn't as loud as you said it was, but it was still there.
Okay. So, last week, I think I said it in the episode, but last week, I kept going Baba Yaga, right? And instead of Baba Vanga, right? And she was the lady that did all the psychic predictions and stuff like that. And I was like, who the hell is this? I know I'm not getting it right, but why do I keep saying this? And I looked it up, and there was some correlation. I forgot it now, exactly what the correlation was. But it kept coming in my head, and I was like, get out. What is this?
And you marked it at about after 17 minutes. It's faint. It's in between me and you talking.
Yeah.
You say something, and then you hear Baba Yaga. And then I say something. It's like, oh, it's almost a whisper. And I was like,
and
what the fuck?
And it's like a witch cannibalism lore lady thing.
Yeah. So any EVP enthusiasts want to go back and listen to it and analyze it.
Yeah, maybe I'll post it on Facebook.
Go ahead and
not Facebook,
tell us.
Instagram about it. Because I heard that when I was editing, and I was like, there's no freaking way that was one of us. Because, you know, like, we're in the flow of talking.
Yeah.
But, no way. No.
I don't know.
I heard that, and I was like, when I looked up what it was, and essentially, like, it could technically be the boogeyman, but, like, if you look up, because I even texted my friend, and I was like, hey, I don't, like, she also has abilities. I was like, I don't know why this keeps popping up, but it's freaking me out. Like, I don't like it. And I was getting such a weird vibe beforehand, and
yeah,
weird.
So go back and listen to that. And as always, guys, we'll catch your widows in the next one.
Yes.